to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here outside of Delphos, Kansas on the Pike Trail Cattle Company backgrounding facility. Today we're speaking with Dana and Tanner about backgrounding cattle, growing crops, and the process of transitioning an agriculture facility from one family to another. Stay tuned for more from That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here with Dana Hauck at Pike Trail Cattle Company outside Delphos in Ottawa County, Kansas. Dana, can you talk to me about your history in farming? I know you grew up just down the road from here.
I did. My grandfather and my father had a Angus cow herd. I grew up with them, loved the cow business, but when I graduated from Kansas State in 1971 and came back, I started backgrounding some cattle, running some stocker yearling cattle on grass. When my father retired, being an only child, I just didn't feel like I could take on one more segment. We were a fairly diversified operation like a lot of other people in Kansas. Wheat, alfalfa in the Solomon River Valley here, grain, sorghum, and so I really concentrated on the cattle growing, backgrounding, grazing.
And so you moved into the backgrounding part of this, and so talk to me about the evolution of the yard that we're standing in right now.
The location we're in now, I started building these pens in 1976. I have good protection here, have good drainage up on the side of the hill, wanted to get up here in a good location, and nearly everything you see here we did, and so we took a lot of pride in the fact that we put this together, and have been here ever since.
And how has this business or this actual facility then changed from when you first established it until this point now?
Well, we have gradually grown. Initially when I built the pens, we were probably just handling 400 or 500 head now. We're handling typically 1,500 head. It hasn't really changed much. When I look at the backgrounding operation, number one, I enjoy cattle. That's sort of been where I focused in my life. But the other thing is, we take a lot of crops that maybe can't be used in the cash market, and it's a way to generate good income and walk some of that off the farm.
Okay, and you kind of referenced an Angus herd when you were growing up, but I see some non-Angus cattle walking around here. So what are we feeding today?
We like to feed cattle that are green, ones that make money. That's the main thing we look at. I mean, we obviously look at the quality and a lot of different attributes of where the cattle come from, what the genetics are, but there's some value in different types of cattle, and so that's what we look at, and we like to try and buy cattle that we think have some potential profit outcome.
And speaking of buying cattle, the cattle market is probably very different today than what it was when you first got into this business. So how is the changes in the cattle market and just all of the different price points that you deal with being in a backgrounding feedlot changed or impacted your business?
It's very capital intensive business, obviously, and that's becoming a real issue is for people in the cattle business is working with lenders, finding the money available that's necessary now. And I will share with you, I'll never forget this, the first load of cattle that I ever fed in the mid-70s or backgrounded, I bought a load of calves that weighed 400 pounds, delivered here for $24.75 a hundred and cost $99 a head. And just finished buying a load of cattle that are going to be in the $1,400 a head range. So things have changed considerably in the last 40 years.
Things certainly have changed. Thank you, Dana. Stay tuned for more from That's My Farm.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here with Dana Hauck at Pike Trail Cattle Company outside Delphos, Kansas. Dana, you guys are in the process of transitioning ownership of this facility. So talk to me about how long you have been the owner of Pike Trail, and then kind of when that decision point came that you were going to be kind of moving out of ownership.
Well, Katie, my wife Marcia and I came back from Kansas State University in 1971, and so we've been here quite a long time. And we raised two daughters here. They were very involved with the farm. They were my hay crew, rode horses, rode the pastures, helped with the cattle. They did it all. But they both graduated from K-State, and one of them still involved in an ag family. The other one is a nurse practitioner. And when it became obvious that neither one of our daughters were going to be back to the farm, we decided that we wanted to see the operation maintained. We'd invested a lot in it, as well as had they and my father and grandfather and previous generations. So we set out to, first of all, identify a young couple that we felt very comfortable with, all the things that everybody looks for, honesty, integrity, work ethic, and also, of course, the ability financially to be able to step into an operation like that, and that's not easy in this day and age. But after that, then we put our own team together with our attorney, our accountant, our lender, tried to draw on all the people that we really needed the expertise of to help work in that transition. And Tanner and Leanne Litton fit the bill for us. Tanner grew up on a very similar operation at Beloit, Kansas, just a short distance from here. Leanne actually graduated from Kansas State with a master's in beef nutrition, so she loves the cattle deal and fits right in here, does the nutrition work. So we just felt like it was a perfect match for us.
And you guys recently hosted the Kansas Livestock Association out here and kind of had a field day that focused on transitioning. And so can you give me the high points of what you look for and what you need to be considering when you're transitioning the ownership of an operation, not only from one generation to the next, but in your situation, from one family to another family?
You know, I think probably every situation is unique, and ours certainly was since we were looking outside the family. But you know, there are both emotional issues and financial issues, and I think they're probably equally important. And like I say, the main thing is to have a good team. And a lot of people, I believe, in our work confuse an estate plan with a transition plan, and there's actually a tremendous difference. And I'll give my wife, Marcia, a lot of credit for that. She is actually the head of a trust department at the Guarantee State Bank and Trust in Beloit, and so she has seen a lot of these situations in her career of 40 years in that business, and so she was a tremendous help. And so it's not an easy process, and it's not a short process. The first thing to do, I think, is talk about it with your own family if you're going outside the family. And we consulted with our daughters and our son-in-law a lot about moving ahead with this, because it's really, and I've told Tanner and Leanne this, it really wasn't as much for Marcia and I as it was for our two daughters, because the farm is very important to them, and they wanted to see it maintained too.
And that's great advice, because we have several farms here in the state of Kansas that are probably going through the exact same thing you guys are going through. So I'm sure people enjoyed hearing from you and hearing from a positive experience. Join us for more on That's My Farm.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hauck, an Oklahoma family farmer. who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Here's another gardening tip from Annette Jackson at Jackson's Greenhouse.
If you have empty patio planters or hanging baskets left over from last year, you can bring them to Jackson's for replanting this year. Just stop in with your containers and tell us what you want in them. You save money and time and help our environment by recycling your old planters instead of throwing them out.
Bring in your planters and baskets. Sign up to win tickets to the Kansas Garden Show. We'll have 50 pairs, so come on in.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Hi, I'm Katie Sawyer and welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm here with Dana Hauck at Pike Trail Cattle Company in Ottawa County, Kansas. Dana, in addition to backgrounding cattle, you do some farming, and we're standing in front of one of your dryland cornfields. Talk to me about the crop side of your operation.
Well, like a lot of other farmers in Kansas, over our lifetime, we've seen some changes, but we're very diversified. We're in the Solomon River Valley here, so we always grew quite a bit of alfalfa. That's a good crop for us. Wheat farmers, grain sorghum, forage sorghum. In the last few years, with the improvement in genetics and technology, we've actually grown considerably more corn and beans. Farming techniques have changed, but it's really fit in good with the cattle operation because we can utilize a lot of those things as feeds that maybe we couldn't turn into cash any other way. So it really fits in well.
And talk to me about what percentage of, say, the corn that we're standing in front of goes directly back into the cattle, and what percentage are you guys selling for grain these days?
Well, that depends on the year, of course, but I would say probably 50% of these corn crops will probably go in the silo or be fed as grain. Of course, a lot of the alfalfa will go back through the cattle, but also a lot of the alfalfa is loaded on trucks as dairy. The high quality hay we try and sell as dairy hay and market it that way.
And by growing your own feed, you are able to control a lot of the input costs, which when you're feeding cattle is huge when you're trying to turn a profit. So how does this benefit the overall operation in terms of being able to grow the crops, control a lot of the costs that it takes to grow crops, and then move that back into the cattle?
Well, the way we've always looked at it is we'll just use whatever the market dictates. It's hard to there's nobody that can control what these markets are going to be, and so it varies a lot. If the corn's more valuable as cash, we'll feed something else, and that's one thing that's changed a lot, particularly with the advent of using a lot of distillers' byproducts and other byproducts in these backgrounding operations. We've been able to start utilizing lots of stock residue, wheat straw, lower quality feedstuffs, along with the distiller. So that's been one of the major changes, but we still, anything that we can grow and turn into beef more efficiently than we can sell at the elevator, that's been a goal.
Thank you, Dana. And join us for more on That's My Farm.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a nearly 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, the tools you need for around the home and farm, and a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so when you have some time, take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Pope, here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
That's My Farm. It's brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here with Tanner Litton at Pike Trail Cattle Company. Tanner and his wife are the new owners of the backgrounding facility. So Tanner, talk to me about your background, kind of where you grew up, and then the transition into your ownership role here.
Okay. I was born and raised in Beloit, Kansas, on a similar operation like we have here, farming and cattle with a cow herd. I was at K-State at the time, pursuing an education in secondary ed, being a high school ag ed teacher. And my father and Dana had known each other for years, working together in feed yards and just knowing each other as cattle feeders. And Dana was looking for some young gentleman to come back and take over his operation. And my brother and I were both having hopes and dreams of coming home to the farm. Just depending on our stages of life. My brother was pursuing his career with a different corporation. I was more flexible, so I was able to come home. My wife and I were then married shortly after we did come home and take on the operation. The main reason why we became owners is trying to get the new generation in. Instead of taking ownership in my dad and uncle's operation, my wife and I bought into this one, so it was a new way for the younger generation to come in without taking from the older generation. So.
And like many who are of the younger generation, you understand that taking on ownership role is it's a rewarding but also a risky venture because just of the capital intensity and the time and just everything it takes to run a business. So talk to me a little bit about kind of what you've done in terms of transitioning into this role and kind of what it takes on your half to become an owner in this type of a facility.
Right. The money is tremendous. I mean, that was the biggest thing. That is where my father and my uncle both came in huge. Dana made it very apparent he didn't want to be a banker, which is understandable. So they were able to come in and give me support so my bank was confident enough to loan us the money. And also the biggest thing was the feed yard was full. When the feed yard's full, when we took ownership, we were able to make some payments with just off the yardage and really get the ball rolling. So that was the main thing. And then, like I said, just having the family around to help support us.
So Tanner, talk to me about the science of backgrounding and feeding background cattle because it's different than fattening cattle.
That's right. Our job here is to make them get up to where they can handle the higher energy rations and stuff. So a lot of our rations are higher roughage, less energy, and it lets the cattle grow into themselves, develop more frame, and to when they go to a feed yard, they can be a lot more productive, and the feeding efficiency is a lot greater. So.
what pounds are you getting them in at, and what weight are you moving them out at?
Yeah, most customers will get them to us around 400 to 600 pounds, and we usually keep them here around 120 days, which can get them up to 800 to 900 pounds, just kind of depending on what program they are, when they came in, and how well we get along with them.
Wonderful, thank you, Tanner. Join us for more on That's My Farm.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help? How can we help?
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Katie Sawyer here with Tanner Litton on Pike Trail Cattle Company. Tanner, now that you moved into your ownership role, what changes have you already made, and do you kind of look to be making at the facilities?
Yeah, here at the feedlot, we're always trying to improve our facilities, make them more functional and less stressful on the cattle and on the operators. So we keep adding new alleys, more pens, because our customers, they buy value. So every time they come in, we sort. We do a lot of sorting for our customers. Added new working facilities, like I said, for less stress on the cattle and to make it a lot more user-friendly. Is what we're really working on here at the feed yard.
And on the crop side, I know you've kind of started to move a little more out of the alfalfa production. So talk to me what your plans are and what you've been doing with the crop rotations and just the crop management practices.
Right. The operation I came from with my father and uncle was no-till. So we've really started transitioning into no-till. We're in about our 4th year on the no-till side of things, so things are really starting to take off there. We're mainly grains. We don't run a lot through here with the dry distillers or the wet distillers. So we try to do a grain crop, which really helps balance out the cattle feeding and the grains. They kind of work well together.
So as you and your wife get more established here, you move forward in this facility, in this ownership role. What do you see as far as future changes, future hopes, dreams, market pressures coming one way or another that might force you to kind of relook at some things?
Yeah, we want to stay diversified. That's our biggest thing, is maybe look at a cow herd eventually or something along those lines. But we want to continue growing. Added expenses, living expenses, farms got to keep getting larger to be more efficient. So we're always striving to be as efficient as we can, keep growing as long as our productivity and our quality of work stays up there. We're trying to grow it into a good-sized family farm to support the next generation if they want to come back.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tanner. Thank you for talking to us today. And thank you all for joining us on That's My Farm. We'll see you next week.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.